For the satin stitch, you'll want to bring your needle up through the fabric and then take it across your design and back down through the fabric and repeat. You want to make sure to pull your floss flush because the satin stitch looks best when there's no slack, but not tight enough to pull the fabric. This stitch is great for filling in large areas relatively quickly, and it gives the embroidery a nice, smooth finish. For the back stitch, you'll want to bring your needle up through the fabric 1 stitch length away from the start of your design, and then back down at the beginning. Next, you'll bring the needle back up 1 stitch length to the right from the first stitch, and pull the thread back through the end of the previous stitch. To fill with the back stitch, you'll want to stitch in rows. I like to do a brick-like pattern when filling with the back stitch. For couching, bring your needle up through the fabric at the start of your design and pull the thread all the way through. Next, take another length of thread and use it to start making small stitches around the first thread to secure it to the fabric. You'll bring your needle up slightly under one side of the first thread, take it over, and then back down slightly under the other side of the thread. I generally use 6 strands of floss for the first thread and 1 strand for the second thread. I almost always use a stitch when I'm using embroidery floss that's more difficult to work with, like the gold and silver ones. For the seed stitch, bring your needle up through the fabric at any point inside of your design and then back down through the fabric 1 stitch length away. Bring your needle back up through the fabric at any point and then down again 1 stitch length away. You're going to continue to make similarly sized stitches at random until you've filled your space. For the long and short stitch, you'll bring your needle up through the fabric and then down 1 long stitch length into the space you want to fill. Next, you'll bring your needle back up next to the beginning of the first stitch and then back through the fabric 1 short stitch length down. Repeat these stitches, making sure to alternate between long and short until you finish filling your design. This is a stitch that I use often to fill, especially when I'm doing a lot of shading and I want the colors to blend without any harsh edges. For the leaf stitch, bring your needle up 1 stitch length down from the tip of your leaf design and then back through the fabric at the tip. Next, bring the needle back up slightly either to the left or the right of the bottom of your first stitch. Bring the needle across and then back down through the fabric at the top of the leaf design on the opposite side. So if you bring your needle up on the left side, make sure to take it back down on the right. This will create a middle seam for the leaf. Continue this process following along with the edges of your leaf design until you reach the bottom. For French knots, you'll bring your needle up through the fabric anywhere in the space you want to fill. Wrap the floss around your needle twice, and then take the needle halfway down through the fabric close to the original stitch. Pull the thread so that it wraps tightly around the end of the needle, and then carefully pull the needle and thread all the way through. I recommend wrapping the needle 1 to 3 times because it can become difficult to keep the shape if you wrap 4 more times. Continue the stitch until you filled in the rest of your design.